Tonight on CTV News, Joyce McConnell becomes the 15th president of CSU.
Then, after the death of a student, we will let you know what changes Poudre Schools plans on making.
And how CSU students feel about marijuana taxes funding education in Colorado. All this and more on CTV News at 7.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Bella Roberts.
And I'm Lauren Orcutt. You know, Bella, after nearly 4 months on the job, President Joyce McConnell made it official by being inaugurated earlier today. As she walked across the stage at the University Center for the Arts, Chancellor Tony Frank passed over the torch to the now 15th president of CSU.
A day when you take your place as the president of an institution literally birthed from the dreams of Abraham Lincoln.
In her address, McConnell talked about her plans to continue making CSU a more inclusive and safe place for students.
They deserve a place where there is no question, theirs or anyone else's, whether they belong, because they do.
Faculty and students gathered at the watch party in the basement of the Laurie Student Center to watch her address.
It was good to see her referenced multiple times at this land-grant institution, her commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion. So I think she was doing exactly what she needed, and also I think it's really exciting for us to have a woman president.
McConnell has endured a lot of challenges in her first months at CSU, but the promises in her inauguration are just one of the first steps in her presidency at CSU.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis announced this week his plan on making college more affordable in the state. The goal is to reduce student debt and contain costs at the institutional level. During his press conference, Polis said, "We know that when Coloradoans have more access to affordable educational opportunities, they thrive and the benefits ripple across the state and help our economy." One of the ways that Polis hopes to reduce costs of college is by reducing the time a student spends in school. Polis hopes to increase concurrent enrollment for high school students to earn college credit, as well as making it easier for credits to transfer among other schools. For more information on Polis's plan, you can visit highered.colorado.gov.
Fort Collins Police Services are asking for your help looking for 2 female suspects that spray painted around 20 cars on October 20th. Police say that the vehicles that were vandalized were on Cypress, Fuca, and Ash Drive, all near Lake Street. Police are asking for help identifying the suspects. If you have any information, you are asked to call Detective Tim Moeller at 970-221-6563 or Crime Stoppers of Larimer County at 970-221-6868, and you could be eligible for a cash reward. Last night at the Associated Students of CSU meeting, they met and discussed bills involving veteran affairs and student parents at CSU.
ASCSU Chair for Internal Affairs Committee Tristan Reyes authored and presented a resolution expressing support for veterans around the CSU and Fort Collins communities. The resolution claims it's in the best interest of veterans on this campus to feel support and appreciated for their service to this country. The resolution passed with unanimous consent. Later in the night, a resolution was presented by Ryan Krupp, Josh Johnson, and Hannah Breck for student-parent absence. Hannah Breck goes into further detail on this resolution.
Our student parents are having issues with school closures because the surrounding schools close and CSU does not, and they cannot find people to watch their children, and there are still professors that are not allowing them to make up work, whether it be tests, homework, whatever, and this is disproportionately hurting our student parent population. So we're asking that basically the excused absences that are already in place for other groups be applied to student parents as well for unplanned school closures.
The resolution was sent to both external and university issues committees. Allison Tackett, CTV, Channel 11.
If you have any questions about these resolutions, you can contact ascsu.com for more information.
Fort Collins police are mourning the loss of their 4-year-old canine officer, Ivo, who passed away Tuesday during a surgery at the CSU Vet Hospital. According to police, Ivo joined Fort Collins PD in December of 2017, where he worked to detect narcotics. Ivo was honored by several local jurisdictions, including Larimer County Sheriff's Department and CSU Police Department.
Wow, Bella, that is such a sad story. Now, after a 5-year-old was hit and killed in a crosswalk last week, the Poudre School District is working to address traffic safety at its schools. Superintendent Sandra Seiser said that they are in the progress of studying traffic patterns at the schools in order to make them safer. According to the Coloradoan, the City of Fort Collins and Poudre School District have a partnership to help pay for crossing guards throughout the district.
Since the legalization of cannabis in Colorado 5 years ago, there has been a significant increase in the state's marijuana tax revenue that hit the $200 million mark this year. According to MarketWatch.com, the revenue supports health, law enforcement, and education funding in Colorado.
So I think although many people might disagree on whether marijuana is good or bad to consume, I think we can all agree that the tax revenue that it's generated here in Colorado has impacted education positively with more funding, as well as more funding for communities at large.
I think since marijuana has been legalized in Colorado that a lot of tax revenue has been generated. I know it's a $1 billion industry, and I know that the taxes are definitely beneficial. I think that based on what Colorado's done, I think that other states are going to want to adapt this policy as well.
Along with many purchases made in Colorado, recreational and medical marijuana have a 2.9 sales tax applied to each purchase. With marijuana sales, Colorado law also dictates that the first $40 million in revenue be used for public school funding. For more information, you can visit colorado.gov.
Just a few weeks ago at the City Council meeting, many community members gathered together to voice their opinions of the development of the former Hughes Stadium site. Now, a new developer named Goodwin Knight from Colorado Springs has approached the city of Fort Collins with plans to build more housing. One of the proposals is set for 90 apartments and the other for 200 apartments and 65 townhomes. For more information on the proposal, you can visit collegian.com.
3 Weld County Sheriff's deputies were fired after a deputy in training punched a suspect in the back of the head. According to the Weld County Sheriff's Department, the deputy who was fired was Paul Saunders. He was summoned for third-degree assault. 2 other deputies who were with the department for 15 years also were fired or resigned. According to the Coloradoan, the investigation into the incident is still ongoing.
Boulder recently made changes that raised the age limit on buying tobacco products from 18 to 21. But have those conversations started in Fort Collins yet? According to a statement from Mayor Wade Troxell to the Collegian, there haven't been many conversations about raising the age limit in Fort Collins just yet. Right now, Larimer County is asking for cities in the county to begin taking a look at policies surrounding the tobacco age limits. To hear more of what Wade Troxell had to say, and Fort Collins officials, you can visit collegian.com.
If you've been on campus this week, you may have seen posters and the guest speakers talking about scientific topics and maps. That's because the Geospatial Centroid was hosting events during the week to teach people about the importance of geography and geospatial awareness. Have you two ever used any sort of mapping system?
Yeah, I use Google Maps like every single day.
Yeah, I use Apple Maps quite a bit when I'm traveling, but even here in town.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a very bad sense of direction, so I know that I'm very dependent on Apple Maps, Google Maps, all of those things.
Yeah, me too.
So I was looking at all these posters around campus, and I was just wondering, what does all of this mean? So I went to one of the events that the Geospatial program was hosting, and I found out what all of this means.
You may think that the Ramskeller is just a place to get drinks and food. What you may not know is that this is also the place that hosted a world-changing event. Yesterday, the Geographic Information Systems Group met at the Scalar to participate in a mapathon for GIS Day.
The purpose of the mapathon is to create spatial data in bulk for an area in need of spatial data. Usually it's for an area with a humanitarian need. So after a disaster like a flood or an earthquake, a lot of third world areas don't have data. They don't know where the buildings are. They don't know where people are living. So you can go through and with a satellite image and trace where the buildings were. And then the Red Cross or Doctors Without Borders can use our data to figure out where to go and look for people or bring supplies to people.
Spatial data affects daily life more than you may have realized.
So if we're trying to find a place to eat dinner and we need to know what restaurants are near us, our phones can tell us where we are and what's nearby.
It's a useful tool for whether you want to camp or you want to plot out a whole city or a map that you're going to use in the future.
Those involved with GIS enjoy it for many different reasons.
The fact that you can work with all kinds of data and interact with all kinds of people and places. I love people, I love places, I love data.
It applies to really cool humanitarian projects.
The biggest takeaway from this event is quite simple.
This is pretty straightforward stuff. It's a lot of just clicking and filling in features, so anyone really can do it.
GIS is going to save the world.
Although the process of GIS seemed really complicated at first, I'm so glad it exists because I use it every day. Don't go anywhere, Rams, just yet, because I will be back after the break to bring you all of the spicy news that's going on in Fort Collins.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
What's poppin', Rams? I'm your Thursday night entertainment host, Krista McAllister, and I'm here once again to tell you about all of the spicy entertainment news that you need to know. So let's get started. As large as Rocky Mountain National Park is, I love nature so much that I always think it could be a little bigger. This thought process is also shared by a former astronaut, Vance Brand. In 1967, Brand bought 40 acres of land that bordered the national park on two sides. Brand loved visiting Rocky Mountain National Park as a kid, so he's donating this land to the Rocky Mountain Conservancy in hopes that it'll eventually be added to the park in order to bring joy to others. Hopefully, new trails and new views will be coming soon to a national park near you. A Little Piece of Denver was in Fort Collins this past week as the Lyric helped celebrate the 42nd annual Denver Film Festival. A variety of films were shown from November 3rd through the 10th. Audiences could laugh along to Bob Binghamton's comedy, Francis Ferguson, as well as watch the thought-provoking documentary made here in Colorado, Classic. If you didn't end up getting around to the festival this time, it is an annual occurrence, so you can always check it out next year. Life is a cabaret, old chum, so come to the cabaret. This is one quote that you'll hear if you have a ticket to see CSU perform the musical Cabaret. Last weekend was the opening of this series of performances, and this sold-out show has more performances this weekend. Cast member Jacob Bellmeyer says that the best part of the show is the big dance numbers. Cabaret is a hit because of the quality dancing, singing, and acting. The theater department is performing this show at the University Theater at the University Center for the Arts, where the cast tells the story of a couple navigating their way through 1930s Berlin. And for those of you that don't know, cabaret is an entertainment that usually takes place inside of a pub or a restaurant. Ever since I first saw the movie, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I wanted to be inside of Willy Wonka's factory, surrounded by all of those sweets. The nostalgic value of this movie is something that the Colorado Candy Company tries to put in each of their treats. The Little Shop in Fort Collins makes handmade treats using antique equipment and old family recipes. You can stop in for cotton candy, peanut brittle, and their specialty, ribbon candy. So if you have a huge sweet tooth like I do, this candy company has got you covered. Do you ever wish that all of your favorite childhood movies were in one place? Well, Disney is granting this wish for movie lovers. The past Wednesday of this week, the newest streaming service, Disney Plus, was released. The tagline for this service is, "The best stories in all of the world in one place." And Disney is working on delivering that promise by putting everything in their kingdom into one area. Disney Plus features shows from Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, and of course, Disney. So Lauren and Bella, excuse me, have either of you heard about the hype that's surrounding Disney Plus?
I have. My roommates and a friend actually just added it, I think, last night, and we were kind of scrolling through it and looking at all of the fun things they've got on there.
Mm-hmm. I've heard the hype, but I don't think I'm gonna get it yet, because I have Hulu, I have Netflix, I have Xfinity. You know, I'm like, can they all just come together for free? That would be nice.
Yeah, no, a bunch of my friends have been sending me pictures of their accounts, and although I kind of was on the same thought process as you, like, it's just another streaming service, how good can it be? It actually looks really cool because there's a lot of classic movies from my childhood that are on there, as well as new things. So I think that's all really interesting. But I don't know, maybe check it out.
Yeah.
Well, Rams, that's all the entertainment news that I've got for you. But stay tuned after the break to hear weather anchor James Hall talk about the kind of weather to expect for this weekend.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm James Hall, here to tell you how the weather's going to be this weekend. But first, let's talk about how it is on campus right now. It is 39 degrees with a wind out of the west-southwest at about 3 miles per hour. Sunset super early, about 4:45. It's going to keep getting earlier till about the 22nd of December, so be prepared for that. What do we look like for cloud cover? Partly cloudy, so might need a bit of a jacket. It's going to be a little chilly out there without anything going on. But let's take a look at how it was on campus today. As we can see, a lot of cloud cover. Can't really see the mountains too much. People are wearing jackets. Of course, you have the one person still wearing shorts during the winter, because why not? And with cold weather comes, unfortunately, dying and wilting trees. But campus still has a little bit of color to it with plenty of green grass, and that one tree that was living its best life, you guessed it, still living it. So, with all that, what do we got for tomorrow? Well, as we can see, it's going to be mostly cloudy with wind out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour, and again, a sunset at about 4:45, with highs at 62 and a low at 36, so it's going to warm up, but again, very cold near the end of the night. As for what we expect for tonight, we can see that it's going to be mainly around the 30s down the I-25 corridor, and dropping down to lower temperatures as we head towards the west, and in the east, it's about the same as the I-25 corridor. For the highs, we can see that it's going to actually get fairly warm tomorrow across the state, as it's going to be around high 60s to 70 degrees across most of the state, we go towards the west, and that's going to be more around the mid-50s to 60, so a little cooler as we would expect. Now, for the 5-day, Friday, as we said, tomorrow is going to be partly cloudy with a high of 62. Saturday is where it really gets a little dicey. We see that there is a 30% chance of rain in the morning, which will turn into a 20% chance of mix by the afternoon and evening, and the high being 59, the low 26, again, a very frigid at night, as we see going across the rest of this week, which is to be expected this time of year. But as we get into Sunday, going all the way to Tuesday, we can see that it heats right back up. So, what to expect this weekend against the Air Force Falcons? Well, at tailgate, it's going to be about 57, a chance of rain, all the way through game start, where it's going to drop a little bit down to 48. And then halftime, 42 with a 33% chance of mix. This is when it starts to get a little iffy on the field. And then by the end of it, we have 38 degrees and mix. So, Corey, with this weather coming in on Saturday, what do you really expect to see from either side?
Well, it's terrible for everybody, right? Because CSU has kind of a rough defensive line, and Air Force runs a lot, and that's really good in cold and snowy weather.
That is true, but at the same time, with that cold, snowy weather, there could be a lot of slipping, which could actually hinder the running game for Air Force.
It's true.
Well, stay tuned for more on that with Corey Odelman Sports after this break.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Basketball just returned from Duke, but did they bounce back last night versus Omaha? Here at Corey's Countdown, we have all of your answers, as well as 3 top stories from CSU Sports, 2 top players to look out for on Saturday versus Air Force, and the 1 minute of mayhem. 3 top stories. As is tradition here on Corey's Countdown, we're starting on volleyball, where a record was just broken tonight. That's right, setter Katie Oleksak broke the total assists record with 4,834 assists, and she was just getting started. As of the last update, she still had 5 more assists on top of that. But that's just great for her, having won Mountain West Player of the Year multiple times. I am not surprised, but different words to describe them would be dominant, would be unstoppable. There's only so many ways you can talk about the number 12 ranked volleyball team. They haven't lost a game in the since the first week of the season. But tonight, they take on Utah State. Utah State finds themselves on the other end of the spectrum with an 8-game losing streak, only 2 wins on the entire season. And to put that in perspective, CSU had that many wins just last week alone. There's only one player who's standing out from the crowd, and that's Bailey Downing. Bailey Downing led the team in blocks, kills, and hitting percentage the last time that the Rams and the Aggies faced off on October 19th. But don't let that fool you into thinking that match was close. It was not. The Rams swept them, and the Aggies never even broke 20 points in that set. Well, right now, the score at Moby is actually 22-14, which goes right around where it was the last time the two played, because Utah never got more than 16 points on the entire game. So 16 points to 22 sounds right about where that would be. And if you want to keep up to date with that, you can listen to the game live on the radio or online at kcsufm.com for a play-by-play and analysis. It was a tough night in Idaho for the women's basketball team. After starting the season off 3-0, they faced a scrappy Idaho Vandals. The Rams did a great job of shutting down sophomore guard Gina Markson. She was out on the floor for the full 40 minutes, but only managed 7 points on 1 of 11 shooting. That's 9%. She did rack up a ton of boards, leading the game with 12. Only one player that did start on fire and end on fire was redshirt junior center Leah Davis for the Rams, who went 6 for 13 and scored 12 points in just 22 minutes. All of those marked season highs for Davis, with the 6 field goals made tying her career high. All of that hard work would not end up being enough, as the Vandals would lead the game from beginning to end and hand the Rams their first loss of the season with a final score of 61-54. Now, from women's basketball to men's basketball, the men fought hard and lost at Duke last week, and last night they came back to Moby hungry against the Omaha Mavericks. The game was truly a tale of two halves, with the first half being incredibly close, and Adam Thistlewood really showing up. Thistlewood went 4 for 6 in the first half from behind the arc and led the team with 12 points. The game would stay close, with the Rams missing a ton of easy buckets down low, and went into the half up only 35-33. As you can see here, Adam Thistlewood, while he is a big man, does have a beautiful shot, but it was a different story in the second half, with the Rams taking an early lead and Carvacho really dominating in the paint. From an average first half, Carvacho would get 17 points and 11 rebounds in the second half. That would make him the leader in both categories for the game, and make him just 1 rebound shy of a 20-20 game, with a final scoreline of 21 points and 19 rebounds. Now, here is what Carvacho had to say about being just 1 rebound short.
Honestly, I heard that I was gypped one. I'm not gonna lie, I heard that, but to be honest, that doesn't really matter as long as we got the win. You know, I didn't even know I was one away. You know, I was just out there trying to grab as many rebounds and score as many points and get us a win.
The Rams ended up beating the Mavericks with a final score of 80-65. That's right, now it's time for the two top players. The Rams are coming off a bye week and playing potentially the most important game of the entire season, Saturday versus Air Force. Now, it's important to know that even though it sounds like it, Air Force does not take to the air very often. They average just 100 passing yards every game. They do, however, run the ball extremely well. One of the running backs is junior Caden Remsburg. Remsburg leads the team in yards with 677, which is quite an accomplishment because the Falcons have a lot of people running the ball. 21 to be exact. Different players have had a rushing attempt on the season, which is double what the Rams have. They also are very consistent with using different players because 4 different Falcons average over 40 yards a game. The second most rushing yards on the Falcons goes to sophomore Timothy Jackson. Jackson is second on the team with a 661 total rushing yards, only 16 yards less than Remberg. Jackson does lead the team in yards per game, averaging 7 more than his teammate. There are only 1 touchdown apart as well, with Remsburg having 7 and Jackson having 6. The Rams will truly have their hands full trying to stop all these different runners that the Falcons have. 1 minute of mayhem. And I have my hands full with this minute of mayhem. So for all of you who are uninitiated, I have 1 minute to answer 11 different sports questions I've never seen before. So let's get started. Number 1, did Verlander deserve the Cy Young Award? I don't see why not. I think he definitely had a really strong showing. I don't really know who else who would take it from him. 2, is stealing pitching signs cheating? Of course it's cheating. Are you kidding me? Maybe if you can see signals and see it from like shortstop, maybe not so much, but using a camera, undeniably cheating. 3, Steelers or Browns tonight? I'm going to go with the Steelers because they've been kind of going on a roll and the Browns made fun of the Giants over the offseason, so we can't have that. 4, will Colin Kaepernick get signed? Maybe. It's a tricky area, right? Because there are a lot of people who like him, a lot of people who hate him, so it's going to be a tough with that one. 5, Nick Foles or Gardner Minshew? You know I got to go with Gardner Minshew. Come on, the guy's just so much fun. How could I not root for a guy like that? 6, will Lamar Jackson win MVP? Every week we have a different Lamar question. And you know what? Yes, I'm going for it. All in on Lamar Jackson's win MVP. 7, will the Lakers win the finals? I don't think so. It'd be rough for them. I know that they were underperformed last week, but I don't think they'll win the finals. Next question, who's the CSU women's basketball MVP? That's a really tough question. Leah Davis did really well last time. Oh, God. Will Teddy Bridgewater be next year? Where will he be next year? I don't even know. And now you won't know either. That's how I do it here. I like to bring people down with me. But you know who's not going to bring you down? With stuff like football, basketball, and volleyball all having a game on Saturday, you need to tune back into the Monday Night Sports Show because they'll have coverage on all of that. So thanks for watching and have a good weekend, Rams.